Tell me about your life and who you were before the accident. I was 32. I'd spent all of my 20s living in London, travelling around Europe. I'd studied wine and managed restaurants. Come back to New Zealand and opened a restaurant with my brother. It was after work and I was just rushing up the steps and I tripped on the very top step, sort of fell out of my shoe and just went flying back to the landing. I knew straight away something was wrong. Like I just got this cold rush all through my body. What was life like in the days, weeks after? Wow, it was a big shock. And it was scary because we didn't know what was happening. I knew that I couldn't move my legs, and if I closed my eyes in the hospital bed, I didn't really know where my legs were. And I remember like the first time somebody like pushed a wheelchair into my hospital room, and I thought, oh my God, that's for me. I remember feeling grateful in a weird kind of way that I still had my brain was still functioning perfectly. I'd always thought, you know, whatever happens, I can still use my brain. Is there any way this could have been prevented? Yeah, there's lots of ways it could have been prevented. If only you weren't always rushing everywhere and you just, you know, took your time and were a bit more mindful about what you were doing, like this wouldn't have happened. But there were other things as well. The staircase where I lived, we used to refer to it as the staircase of death. There were so many things wrong with the staircase. And one of the main things was that the hand railing was really wide, too wide to grab. And I remember grabbing for the handrail and just my hand just sliding down it because you couldn't grab the handrail. There was no lighting, like just everything about it was wrong, basically. How did you process what happened mentally? A lot of people think, oh, that must have been so hard to come to terms with, but there's so much you learn slowly over a period of time that you just work out. I mean, there's so much more to being paralysed than not just being able to walk. It affects everything. It affects how you regulate your body temperature. It affects how you go to the toilet. There was like a lot of pain to deal with. So each day you sort of mentally had to come to terms with something else. Every now and then the whole thing would hit you and think, oh my God, this is, you know, when I started to realise it was permanent, and you'd get this kind of big wave of grief. What helped with your recovery physically and mentally? Sort of discovered that I had a resilience that I never realised I had. And if you'd asked me before something like this happened, I would have thought that I would have been a complete mess, like crying every day, but I wasn't, and I just, you know, surprised myself with it being reasonably mentally strong. It's been a long time now since this happened, but I can't believe really the kind of life I've had compared to what I thought and what even the people around me first thought when I had my accident. I think it seemed like the expectations of what I would kind of go on to do and achieve were really lowered once I was in the wheelchair. But yeah, I never would have thought that I would have been working in a job that I love. Yeah, it's completely different to what I thought. It's better than I ever could have imagined. Thank you.